Hi there, this is Fixed1t. Welcome back. The next job that we need to do is to sort out this huge pile of really badly damaged wiring. And what I've been doing is picking away at the wax on this, and I'm actually going to take out this complete bundle. The reason for doing that is I'm actually going to work on each of the individual pins one at a time and work my way down from there. So what you need to do is to get the pins out of this block, and this is a really simple way of doing it. And what you do is you gently apply some pressure to the pin, and then underneath here there's a little spike. So if I just lever that up slightly, I should be able to pull that pin out, he says. It does work. I've done it before. Okay, I think that's coming out. I seem to be having some difficulties. Okay, there we go. And then you can take the entire pin out and the plastic will just drop back to where it was. Now what I need to do is to actually trace this all the way down. I'm not going to attempt to take any more off, because if you do, you'll end in disaster. So just pull this through the entire wiring loom, which is a bit tricky. Seems it's so crooked and sharp in places. And I'm going to follow this all the way down. As you can see, I'm being really slow and gentle with this, because what you don't want to do is to damage any of the other wires. Yeah, I know they're damaged already, but you don't want to snap any of the wires, because it'll just cause you problems in the future, and also you don't want to damage that end. And basically, let me just put the camera a bit further back so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. And right, so let's pull this through and follow it down there. There's a lot of wires in this block, so you basically need to do this with each of them. Okay, it's coming down and through. It's really fiddly work. Okay, now what I need to do is to just push on this side until I can see which wire it is. I've found it. There we go. It's tangled up with another. Let's untangle those. Just turn it round. There we go. If you keep hold of both ends, you can kind of work it through gently. Okay, that's there, and it should come down here under this leg section. There it is. And what it does is it comes down to this circuit board here at the bottom. Let me just check that you can see that. Not quite, so I'll bring the camera in and down to there. That's better. And there's a circuit board here, and this board itself is kind of glued in. So what I need to do is to get my probe here and get that underneath there. Okay, and then to lift this out nice and gently. There we go, come on, up you come. A bit at each side. Hang on. That is a metal connector there that needs to get pushed in. So let me just push that in. There you go. That should do it. Here's my pliers. That's quite springy. It's springing back. And there we go. And this comes all the way down, and then it attaches to this printed circuit board. Now the good news about that is obviously is that you're only going to have to be messing about with one end on this, because the other end is actually going to be attached to the circuit board and then can be unsoldered. It really is a mess. And it actually still goes around these others. It's quite deceptive. Again, continue to pull it through. Until we reach the end. And it is actually the one right on the very end. So I'm going to pull it through there. And then I know what I'm working with. Okay, so there's the pin going in, and what I need to do is to just remove the glue that's around there and clean it up a little bit, which is a bit of a mess. Yeah, they've firmly glued everything, and makes the whole job a bit fiddly. Okay, now what I can do is I can turn the board over. If I gently pull on the wire, I can get my soldering iron, make sure there's a bit of solder on the end of it. I can spin that over and I can just heat that bit up and pull out the wire. Okay, so the wire's out. So now what I need to do is to measure up a length of wire and re-solder that in place. What I'm going to do with this end is the same as I did previously, which is to put some rubber on the first section and then actually some heat shrink and then seal it, and then I'll have a short tag and then I'll actually tie the wires to that. So let's begin by cracking off this. Okay, and pull it out, and then I'm going to spin it. Hopefully make sure I'm spinning it the right way. Because as I say, I want that wire taut. So there we have it. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is to just pull up my solder. Some solder on my tip, and then about there I'm going to heat it and seal the wire. And I'm going to cut that there. I should have done something first, of course. What I should have done was measured it with another piece of wire. But that's no problem, because I have suitable wire. as it's a kind of yellow colour, I'll use this piece of yellow. As you can tell, this is live. This is the kind of stuff that you edit out when you edit the video. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to measure this so far all the way along. Okay, to there, and then I'll give it an extra ½ centimetre. There we go. And now I've got a piece of wire that's the right length. I can now discard my tag. On this piece then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the rubber that I've used before. Just a small piece of rubber on there. Okay, and now I'm going to add a little bit of heat shrink. Only need a tiny piece. Actually, even that tiny piece is twice as long as I need. Okay, so I've got that on there. I'm just going to heat it with my heat gun until it shrinks. And then I'm going to force these two together just over 50%, like that, and then I can pull that end up. And what that does is it makes sure that that rubber there basically stays in contact, so that when I make the final connection, everything will be fine. Okay, so now just strip this wire. The beauty of doing it this way, as opposed to how I did it in part 2, of course, is that you have everything in your hands, so it's a lot quicker. And as you can see, that rubber's now quite forcibly on there. Okay, so now I just need to solder that. Cut off the end, and then I'll fold that over, but I'm just going to put another piece of rubber on there, just so the larger heat shrink has something to fasten onto. So I'll feed that on the wire. You kind of need to be methodical with these things, because otherwise what happens is you forget what it was that you were trying to do. Okay, and now I want to bend that backwards and over the other wire, like that. I'm actually just going to squeeze that with a pair of pliers. The reason for doing that is really just to make sure you don't get any sharp edges that are going to stick through. So there's the rubber on either side, and now I need my thicker tube. Where's it gone? I can't see the black. I'll just use a piece of this green. Here's the black. It doesn't really matter what colour you're using. What matters is that you keep control of what you're doing. So try and get that roughly in the middle, about there. And then use the heat gun on it. Turn it over. Around. That's it. Okay, so that bit's done. Now what we want to do is to ensure that the place where this actually fitted is clean. So let me just adjust the camera again so I can get this in view. There you go. Because what you can see is the place it was in is kind of full of glue and various other bits and pieces. So I'm just going to pull that off there. And then I'm going to clean out the cell that I was working with. I do have some sharper ones of these, but you really do risk stabbing yourself doing this and also damaging the wires. While I'm here, I'll just take this off here. Okay, so that's nice and clean now. Okay, and now what you can do is feed this back into the hole that it came out of. So you might ask, why don't I just keep them all out until such time as I've finished? But unless you keep a really good track on them, you've got problems, because you'll forget which one is which, and if you cross some of these wires you're likely to damage the whole thing. And there it is, it's back in. Oh, sorry, I just pulled it out again. That was silly. I have to make sure it's right inside and locked in on the plastic. There it is, it's locked in now. And the plastic's nice, the rubber's nicely in place. That's now in place, and now what you do is you feed this wire then back through where it was originally. So let's try and do that. So let's go around through this guard. Here we go, through here. Okay, just try and untwist it a little bit. There we go. And then through this other piece, which is the leg panel, because if you forget to do that you'll end up with a bit of a mess. Okay, and then spinning round, and then we'll use a solder sucker to suck off the what was there. And somewhere I have one of these pairs of hands devices, so let me just use that there to turn the board over and connect to, so it'll hold it in place and get you in close. Okay, now soldering iron. Try not to knock the camera too much. My solder, wherever the end's gone. Just clean the tip. And what I want to do is apply solder onto the point. Now you might think that's a bit weird. I want to take the solder off, but I'm applying solder to it. And the reason is you want the best flow you can possibly get on that solder, so that when you suck it, it does that. And as you can see, it's a completely clean solder joint. And now what I'm going to do is to grab at the end of my wire, strip it, twist it so it's nice and straight, and then apply some solder to it. Okay. The thing about electronics is it is fiddly. And doing these repairs, currently I can't see the hole, so what I'm going to do is gently use these snips to snip away the rubber that's there. And so I can see the hole I want to be working with. There it is. Okay, I can see it. I've got a resistor here, basically just to use as a probe, and I just want to probe that through to make sure that the hole is clean and clear, which it is. And I'm going to pass that wire through that hole. Actually, it's a nodule on the end. Like that. Turn it upside down. Put the arm back in place. Bend the wire out of the way. Soldering iron. Clean the tip. Some fresh solder on it. And now apply that to that point. Leave it for a few seconds just so that you have a nice shiny blob that says you've got a good joint, and snip it off. And there you have it. One of the pins is done, and only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only another 5 to do, and then I can consider putting him back together. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.